Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to my global audience. Walter Cotton back at you with another installment of my Patriot Report. And today we're going deep, right? We're going deep into the weeds because I've been asked to support the creation of a numeric contracting program for veteran-owned small businesses. Say that another way, I've been asked to create a prime contracting program or help create a prime contracting program for veteran-owned small businesses. And as you may know, this one's near and dear to my heart because I've been advocating for the service-disabled veteran community for the better part of 20 years. The fact that we are correcting a undersight, that we are correcting a misstep with the addition of the vast majority of my fraternity to the contracting arena is a labor of love that I'm excited about participating in. And I'll tell you how you can help us moving forward. I'm also going to spend some time talking about the defense industrial base and our need to replenish the defense industrial base. I'll talk about some threats, some strengths, some weaknesses, and some opportunities that you want to consider. All that and more on this installment of my Patriot Report. Thanks for sticking with me through that transition. So as I said at the outset, a good friend of mine, one Mr. William Bill Elmore, who just happened to be the first associate administrator of the Veteran Business Office within the Small Business Administration, came to me recently out of his second retirement to say, "Hey, Walt, listen, I left some unfinished business when I left the agency that I'd like your help in correcting." And that unfinished business was a need to create a numeric contracting program, a prime contracting program for veteran-owned small businesses. Now, Bill and I did a comprehensive interview. The link to that is in the description of this video that gives you the justification. It gives you a little bit of the history, and more importantly, it gives you the why we are going through the process of creating that action. I'd like you to take a look at that video, and if you are a stakeholder, you are an interested party, I'd like you to consider joining us as we move the needle in contracting on behalf of him and her who bore the battle, on behalf of those very deserving service members, veterans that didn't unfortunately find themselves in the position that I'm in, which is that of a disabled veteran with a, more than 80% disability, but served this country honorably. And for whatever reason, or actually it's not for whatever reason, for reasons you're going to understand in the taping with Bill and I, were overlooked. They were stepped over as we created the Service Disabled Veteran Contracting Program, even though the legislation actually supported including them in that particular ability. And that is the ability to utilize government contracting to create generational wealth that they can use to more vigorously, more completely participate in the American dream. We believe that this is going to be a pretty simple lift during this season. And for those of you, again, that are stakeholders, whether you are a veteran business owner that would love to be a prime contractor with a customer that spends a little bit over $600 billion a year, or you are a legislative stakeholder who has an interest in demonstrating your support for the veteran community, we're going to ask you to join us in this mission to ensure that him and her, or all of the men and women who bore the battle, have an equal opportunity to participate in the contracting activities that this government lets on an annual basis. And that is a good segue or transition into the next topic that I wanted to talk to you about a little bit today in more detail moving forward. And that is the need that we have to replenish to revitalize our defense industrial base. Recently, DoD came out with their definitive plan for the first time, or strategy, if you will, on the defense industrial base. And the report provides pointers to some of the areas that DoD is considering. But you don't need that report to know that our supply chain in these United States has been materially disrupted for decades. It's been disrupted by decisions to employ strategies like NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, that everyone thought was going to be so fantastic as we offshored, as we outsourced our manufacturing capabilities to other countries. And there are a number of these economic strategies that we've employed that have simply left our supply chain and left our industrial base in a position that is threatened. And those threats lend themselves to being a threat to the national security of these United States, especially when we have an opportunity for mobilization right in front of us that we may have to engage to defend ourselves against a domestic foe who's mounting a effort against these United States. The bottom line is that this is a season where him and her who bore the battle should be most aggressively considering federal contracting, because as the government opens up their investment coffers and invests with industry to revitalize our industrial base, him and her who bore the battle, in my humble opinion, are best positioned to take on that mission. Why do I think they're best positioned to take on that mission? Very simply put, especially in agencies like the Department of Defense or Homeland Security, our veterans have a unique affinity for the mission that's carried out there. And as a result of that, we would and will put in the greatest amount of efforts to ensure that our performance and the products that we deliver comply to the specifications that are stated by the federal government. I talked to a number of friends of mine who were contractors today that were Vietnam veterans. And they say to a man that when they were in the field, they had M16s that were jamming up because of the quality of the ammunition that they were given by contractors who were not veterans. And they agree aggressively, as I agree, that if disabled veterans or veterans at large were the contractors that were making those munitions that were needed to support the warfighter, we'd have a greater probability that those munitions would be effective and work because of the empathy that the contractor has with the mission that they are driving against or the mission that they're supporting. So at the end of the day, what I'm pointing your attention to is the fact that right now, there are several efforts underway to prepare to replenish our defense industrial base and to shore up our supply chain. And if you need to see what that activity looks like, I'd recommend that you go out to the, what is that? That is the, I'm having a moment here. So, I'm an old guy, so I have Alzheimer's moments. But the Defense Production Act office, specifically Title III of that office, is putting in a number of mechanisms, tools, and assets to support this kind of action. And I'm going to be a little bit speculative here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to step way out on that twig of high-octane speculation and suggest to you that the government is not going to go through the efforts necessary of making the investments and resourcing an office like the Defense Production Act office without a intention, right? And the intention is to make sure that if we need to utilize our supply chain, if we need to utilize our industrial base to support mobilization, they have all the tools available in the toolkit necessary to utilize conventional or other contracting methods to ensure that him and her who is out there fighting the battle today, right? Our war fighters that are on the ground defending our democracy have the best tools that give them the greatest probability of success and completing the mission. And at the end of the day, the mission for the warfighter is to come home alive, right? The mission for the warfighter is to come home uninjured and alive. If you are a contractor, or you are a disabled veteran contractor, you'll want to be preparing yourself to take advantage of this new bastion of contracting opportunity that's opening up to you. And I'm going to spend some time during future Patriot Reports talking to you about the granularities of how you get your feces amalgamated so that you can help our government get out of the mustard and catch up with the needs of manufacturing and innovation that would be required to support our men and women in uniform. I'm going to also try to take these Patriot Reports and shrink them down to a size that fits within the attention span of our audience today. And as a result of that interest, I'm going to bring this short briefing to a close with the expectation that during the next Patriot Report, I will more deeply unpack the defense industrial base challenge and the opportunities that it produces for you. Until next time, this is Walter Cotton saying, I'm out.
I got something to say and I can keep it in. This could be the last, cause it's okay, we never speak again. Y'all know I don't cry, but sometimes I can feel them creeping in. I had my time of war, I think it's time I find my peace within. I got something to say and I can keep it in. This could be the last, cause it's okay, we never speak again. Y'all know I don't cry, but sometimes I can feel them creeping in. I had my time of war, I think it's time I find my peace